Hi guys, today we are going to be working on our ivory soap sculpture. Okay, so you can see that I have this bar of ivory soap right here. Okay, today you will also need a piece of paper or your sketchbook, a pencil, a plastic knife, right? So a plastic butter knife, so not too sharp, but really good for this project. Okay, and you can use a skewer or a toothpick as well for some of the detailing stuff. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to take our pencil and our soap and a piece of paper, and we are going to trace out a couple of rectangles onto our paper using our soap, right? So I already have most of these here, and I'm going to just very kind of loosely sketch out the shape of my soap here, like this. Okay, and then I'm going to start thinking about what type of sculpture I want to create. Okay, so you can think of a bunch of different ideas. One of the things you want to think of though is something that will fit in this space, right? So you don't want to use something, you don't want to make something too teeny tiny small. We want to use as much of the soap as we can, okay? That way we don't have too much left over. And you want to make sure that you're doing something that might be kind of on the thinner side in this direction, okay? So if you were wanting to do a globe, that would be really hard to do because you would require probably a cube, more of a square shape on all sides in order to do something round like that. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to sketch out a couple of ideas on your paper. So maybe one of them could be like a fish, right? And so if I wanted to draw a fish for one of mine, you know, maybe the edge of the tail kind of comes in here like this. See how I'm making it touch the very edge of my shape here, right? And then maybe the body kind of comes along this way. Kind of like that, right? And then maybe I can round this out over here. And then I could add in like the fins and stuff. Something like that, right? And then I can draw what goes on over here. So like a little eye, maybe he has another fin here, something like that. Maybe he has like a kind of texture here. Maybe it kind of comes down like this because, you know, sometimes fish tails look like that, right? Or maybe I want to do like a turtle, right? So again, a turtle is something that I can make relatively flat. And then I could say, so maybe the turtle is this wide because I want to use up as much of my soap as possible. Kind of like this. Okay, and then maybe the head comes over here. And then maybe the little feet kind of go here. Right, and then a little tail. Now for this, you want to make sure that you're not making anything too small because the soap can break pretty easily. And so if you have something that's really, really skinny, there's a really good chance it's going to break. Okay, so then I can have my other foot right up here. Right, and so maybe I have a turtle, right? And then you could fill out some other ideas over here. Okay, for me, I think that I'm going to do a fish for my example. Okay, so please decide something other than a fish for yours. Okay, I had a lot of people who copied last time, was not super impressed with that creativity there. So I have the word ivory on both sides of my soap, which is okay because a lot of times it ends up getting kind of cut off or it's not super deep, so it'll be all right. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is I want to look at my drawings here, right? And remember, you'll have multiple drawings, but I want to look at that as I'm sketching out my fish here. Okay, so I remember that I started here with the fin, or not the fin, the tail. So I'm just going to kind of sketch onto my soap, and when I do this, it's kind of hard to see, but there's a little line right here. And it's not a pencil line necessarily, even though I'm using the pencil to draw this. It's just kind of carving into the soap, right? And one of the things that you want to keep in mind too, while you're working on this, is you're going to have soap all over your surface. And I forgot to mention this at the beginning of the video, but you want to have some type of container to keep this in. Okay, so in class, we usually use a tray that looks like this, right? And so it's not super deep, but not super shallow. And we just place this here. What you can do at your house is maybe to use like a plastic container, a plastic tub. You might even use like a shoe box or something along those lines. That way you can work on it here. And then it has a place to contain the soap so you can throw your excess shavings away later. Okay, so I have my, my piece here. I'm going to draw in my fish shape, just like this. So I can kind of brush that extra soap off there. And then let's see. So his body went over this way, like this. Here. Okay, and then it was kind of rounded out this way, like this. Okay, you guys can kind of start to see a little bit. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and add on the top and bottom fin. So here is my, we'll do it this way. Here's my top fin. And I'm going to go all the way to the edge of my soap here. And I'm going to say maybe it comes down here. Okay, and then this one here is going to go this way. Like this. Okay, and then I think I am going to have that little bit, that little kind of V shape down here by the tail. Okay, I'm not going to add on too much here just yet, and I'm going to wait a little bit on this other fin that I have, the one that kind of goes this way in the eye, just because I might end up taking off some of this part so I don't see the ivory anymore. Okay, so once you have this sketched on here, you guys can see my fish shape. It's not super hard, right? I didn't press in here super crazy hard. But what I want to do is I want to start removing some of the bigger chunks, right? So I have a section right here that's going to be cut away, a section here, and a section on here. Like, so I have 4 sections that I need to cut away. What you're going to do is you're going to take your plastic knife like this, okay? Please do not use a like steak knife. Don't use something that has a sharp blade, okay? If you decide to ignore those instructions and you use a sharp blade anyway, which I do not recommend, you want to make sure that you cut away from you, not towards you, okay? But a plastic knife, you have a little bit more flexibility with that, and you don't have to worry about getting soap all up in your dishes, okay? So I'm gonna take this here, and what I wanna do is I wanna start taking off the corner just very slowly here, and I might kind of, and it's kind of like you're just shaving away. So I like to imagine you're peeling a potato, right? So you know how you peel the skin off the potato and it only comes off a really tiny bit at a time? Technically, you could peel the whole tomato or the whole potato that way, like all the way through until the whole potato is just, you know, little shavings, okay? And that's kind of what we want to think about while we're working on this, is you're just doing a tiny bit away at a time. One of the things that's important to keep in mind while you're working on this is you don't want to try to cut off huge chunks, because while that will be a lot faster, chances are it will break the rest of your soap. Usually that doesn't go very well. So you want to work slow and steady at this. It will take you some time to get it done. Okay, and that's okay. So what I'm doing is I'm not working on the fish itself right now. I'll form the fish a little bit later, but right now I really want to focus on just shaving off this extra stuff over here. Okay, so you can see I have some kind of like grooves in here, and I'm cutting close to, do you see where that line is? Okay, I'm going just kind of close at first. Okay, I'm gonna take a little bit off here. All right, you might adjust and turn to a way that is a little bit more comfortable. Sometimes I like to kind of go this direction, turn it this way. I don't want to go to the unmarked side and start cutting stuff off because I don't have, it's hard to make the exact same drawing on the back side. Okay, so I'm just kind of going with what I have here, right? And I might take my, if you have a toothpick or if you have a skewer, I meant to bring a toothpick to school and I totally forgot one at home, but you can go through and kind of not darken, but embolden these lines a little bit. I guess that's kind of the same thing as darkening. right? And then so I'm going to do this outside line here too a little bit more. Like that. You can see that line a little bit better now. Okay, that way I don't accidentally lose my line. Okay. Yeah, that's a little bit easier for you guys to see. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do this one over here. Just like this. Okay, so I have outlined this again, so it's a little bit easier for you guys to see, a little bit easier for me to see too. Okay, and I actually think I'm going to use this on this corner part here that I'm kind of cutting back. So I'm going to just kind of go through. Okay, so you guys can see all of this soap that I have going on here. Do you see why we need a container? Really, really helpful. And it's nice to have something to work into instead of, you know, having to take it out and set it over here and then bring it back over here, because then it contains your mess and you while you're working. Makes it easier to clean up. And maybe your parents won't be mad at you for getting soap on your kitchen table or something. Okay, so I'm working just through here, right? And I might switch back and forth between my tools. So I might come back here to my knife here. Right, and so I'm just kind of sawing away at it, and I'm only taking off a small amount at a time. Remember, if you start rushing, it's a really good way to break your soap. Okay, so I am going to pause this video really quick, take a second and get this stuff cut off so you can see the next steps, okay, because I'm sure it's really amazing to sit here and watch me do this, but you don't want to watch me do this for the next while. So I will be right back.